السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. معكم الأستاذ وسام من مجموعة الواتن الدولية. اليوم إن شاء الله حنستكمل درسنا في برنامج الأفتر إفكت، حنستكمل كمان الدروس أو الفيديوهات اللي احنا كنا عم نشوفها. طبعا احنا اخذنا كذا فيديو، دخلنا الاعدادات السينمائيه للصوت، اخذنا عن الحركات السينمائيه، الاضاءه اعتقد كمان اخذناها، واذا ما اخذناها اليوم كمان حنشوفها. بس اعتقد ان اخذناها اليوم، حنراجع عليهم ان شاء الله. رح نراجع كمان على الدروس اللي احنا اخذناها من قبل، بالاضافه رح ناخذ درس جديد اللي هو الحركات السينمائيه. الحركات السينمائيه بس هذا الجزء الثاني، مو جزء، مو جزئين. فاليوم حنشوف وحنستكمل مع بعض. هذا الدرس جدا مهم. طبعا مثل كالعادة رح نشرح الدرس أو رح نشرح الفيديو ونحن بنشوفه، وآخر الدرس كمان بنفس الشيء. فبعد أعتقد هذا الدرسين والدرسين الجايين رح نرجع على أفتر إفكت نطبق اللي نحن شو اللي نحن سويناه. طبعا كالعادة احنا بنعرف إن نحن عم نشوف أشياء شو بسموها، آه على اليوتيوب، مو إنه فيديوهات تعليمية، عشان نحن أمثلة عن الشيء اللي أنا عم بعطيكم إياه. فالأمثلة هاي نحن حنطبقها إن شاء الله في الدروس القادمة. فخلينا نحن هلأ نبلش ونرجع نشوف درسنا، نشوف الفيديو تبعنا. خلينا نقول بسم الله ونبلش.
Hey guys, Justice here with Tomorrow'sFilmmakers.com, the largest online film academy in the world, and today we're talking about cinematic movement. Now this video is part 3 in our cinematic trilogy: cinematic composition, cinematic lighting, and cinematic movement. Now you might not know this, but if you move the camera at all, you communicate something to your audience. And every movement of the camera communicates a message and an emotion to your audience. So we have to determine exactly how to take advantage of that and use every single moment and every single movement to deliver the right emotion. Now, this video is not a video on every single type of camera movement, like a push in or a pull away or a crane shot, etc. We have episodes all about that in our full course, but this video is about the 8 steps that you need to take in order to create cinematic movement. But today I want to give you the 8 steps you need to take in order to have cinematic movement in your projects. If you take these 8 steps, I promise you, your projects will look 1,000 times better, even if you just have a cell phone. Starting off with the very first step that will improve your projects faster than you can imagine is to avoid handheld. Nothing screams amateur more than seeing some handheld footage in someone's filmmaking. Now, some projects require more of a handheld look for more grittiness and a certain style, but not the handheld that we're talking about. This kind of handheld should never be used in your filmmaking career. And this is probably the most common mistake I see filmmakers make who are either just starting out or really just don't really know how to film properly. They grab their camera, click record, and start filming. I did it when I was starting out, and you probably did too. You see, the point of your project is to make the audience forget that they're looking through the lens of a camera. You want them to get sucked into the project and think that they're just watching this unfold in front of them. But if you pick up your camera and start shooting with this jittery handheld look, it's just a constant reminder to the audience that there is a cameraman holding the camera. And to be honest, no movement looks better than bad handheld movement. Putting your camera on a tripod is going to look better than a handheld shot, especially if you try to move the camera. Trying to pan left or right while holding the camera looks crazy amateur, but if you try and pan on a tripod, it makes a world of a difference. But even if you're not panning or doing anything like that, just having your camera stationary on a tripod with good composition looks better than bad, jittery, shaky handheld movement. When I was starting out, I used to film everything handheld. And then when I learned not to do that anymore, the production value in my projects increased significantly. I didn't buy a new camera, I didn't buy new lights or even a stabilizer. Yet the quality difference is huge just by me not holding my camera anymore. If you know that you need to film handheld for certain projects or a certain style, prepare for it with a shoulder rig or a camera cage to take away all those small jitters, but just picking up the camera and filming, avoid it like the plague. Because if you avoid it, you will improve the quality of your filmmaking instantly. Step number 2 is zooming, and why to never do it. A push in and a pull away are where you physically move the camera, but a zoom, on the other hand, is where you zoom your camera towards the subject. Now, the problem with a zoom and actually filming the zoom is that it feels very artificial and reminds the audience that there is a camera present. Now, some projects are great for zooms, like The Office. The Office is a TV show that's supposed to be about a documentary team following these people around in their daily lives. And since you already know that, zooms don't feel out of place because you're watching it through someone who is following them with a camera. The Bourne movies are also a good example. Paul Greengrass zooms all the time because it's about a man constantly on the run from the government, and he gives the feeling that someone is always watching him. But whenever you zoom, it reminds the audience that there is a cameraman holding the camera, and for that reason, it tends to take the audience out of the moment and reminds them that they're watching a movie or watching a promo or watching whatever project that you're making. When your character is supposed to be alone with nobody around and your camera zooms, it feels like you're watching a reality TV show. Zooming in on your projects should be avoided at all cost. And when you first pick up your camera, you're going to be tempted to do two things: go handheld and zoom. I've seen it countless times, and that's why I made a point to say no handheld and no zooms, because avoiding these two things will improve your projects. Number 3 is smooth movements. If your camera movements aren't smooth, the cinematic quality of them will be completely gone. Invest in a stabilizer, please. You can't get smooth movements without something to make your camera smooth. And also, just because you have a gimbal or a glide cam doesn't mean you will automatically have smooth footage. I see many filmmakers purchase gimbals and glide cams but still have shaky movement, and they ask me how to fix it, and the truth is it's because they just don't know how to use it. Now, there are 2 quick ways to make sure that your shots are smooth whenever you're using a gimbal. Number 1 is to balance your gimbal. With a glide cam, if it's not balanced, it's going to be impossible to film with, but with a gimbal, even if it's not balanced, it's going to look like it's ready to go. And because of that reason, many people are not getting smooth shots. Be sure to take that extra time and balance your gimbal and your glide cam properly. And number 2 is the way you walk. Getting smooth shots does depend on how you walk. You must bend your knees and walk like your lower half is completely separate from your upper half. Let your legs absorb everything without letting it get to your upper half. This is especially useful when moving quickly or running, since you tend to have more movement in your shots. Mentally, you have to train yourself to naturally squat when you walk because you aren't used to doing that. This shot was taken on a gimbal while walking normal. It doesn't even look like it's on a stabilizer, and that's because it all depends on the way you walk. Number 4 is depth. Many times, if we're moving our camera, we can tell that the background is moving, but we aren't really able to see just how much we're moving, especially if it's a wider shot. One way to create depth and show your movement better is to simply put something in your foreground to show that movement. It adds an entirely new level to our movements and allows us to have lots of depth. We already talked about this a little bit in our composition episode, but both of these shots are moving from left to right, but the one with a foreground object looks much more appealing by adding depth and also shows us as an audience how much we are moving. And it doesn't have to be anything large like a person or an object. It could be something small like leaves, plants, coming from behind something to reveal the subject. Many things you can do to add depth. But placing something in front of your camera to either shoot through or move around can greatly affect the cinematic quality. It adds depth, it adds another element to your image, and if your subject is on a flat wall and you can't move him away from that wall, the best thing to do to add depth is to put something in the foreground. It takes the image to an entirely new level. Next is motivated movement. Now, just like we talked about in our lighting episode with motivated lighting, now we have motivated movement. This is movement that is motivated by something else in the frame. Now, some movements just look fine out of the blue, but some movements can seem jarring and take your audience out of the moment if the camera just moves for no reason. Motivated movement will completely fix this. If we're going to move from one person to the other, instead of just moving back and forth, which can seem jarring, we could follow another person to our destination. This is what is called motivated movement. They use this many times in longer takes, and it really adds a lot. Sometimes the person's only job in the scene is to allow the camera to somewhat follow them, even if they're just in the background. Think if we had this shot without the person walking to move the camera. The movement would just seem jarring and out of place for the camera to just move with no real reason. As an example, if we have two people having a conversation, instead of moving back and forth to where it kind of feels awkward and out of place, we could have them tossing a ball back and forth and following the ball. This feels much more natural because the movement is motivated. And you don't necessarily need to focus on the ball when it's moving and make it a subject in the scene, but just move in the direction with it and it will seem more natural. If there wasn't motivation for the movement, it would feel out of place. I've also used motivated movement many times with real estate shoots. Instead of just walking in a room to show how nice it is, or especially the front door, we simply follow somebody into that room and have them walk out of the way, and it feels more natural to the viewer because the movement is motivated. So if you can, add some sort of motivated movement to your shots, and you will be amazed at the difference it makes. Next is minimize rack focusing. Now, what is a rack focus? A rack focus is when your focus is on something really far away, and then you rack the focus wheel all the way until you focus on something really close, or vice versa. This has been used in Hollywood for ages and can be used in your projects to communicate a message. The reason I'm making a point about this is because back in the day, racking focus was pretty much impossible without some sort of adapter. Right when DSLRs came out, racking focus was super easy and available to everyone. So guess what everyone did, myself included? We were racking focus at every chance we could because we hadn't been able to do it before. And then it started to get monotonous and constant. So when you first pick up your DSLR and you're first getting into filmmaking, you'll have a tendency to want to do that all the time because it looks so cool. I mean, a typical Hollywood movie might have maybe one rack focus shot in the entire film, so I know it might seem like a small and simple step, but I've seen it over and over again where beginning filmmakers rack focus with almost every single shot just because they can and it looks cool. So please don't do it. Next is to shoot for the edit. We talked about this before in our top gimbal tips and tricks videos, but one of the most popular things right now are cinematic transitions, especially with a gimbal. It is everywhere. But if you're wanting your transitions more cinematic, you'll need to plan them out beforehand. Don't just start filming and think that you'll add some preset transition in the edit. Use your gimbal to create those cinematic transitions. If you're wanting to do a whip pan transition, start your shot and at the end of the take, pan quickly to the left. Then on your next gimbal shot, start with panning quickly to the left and then ease back into normal. With one, end with a pan. With the other, start with a pan. Once in the edit, you can blend those shots together seamlessly because you planned it out beforehand. If you didn't plan it out and just decided to add a preset transition, it doesn't look nearly as good as if you planned it out beforehand and actually moved the camera. So take your gimbal, your stabilizer, or whatever it is, and film your shots with your transitions in mind. And finally, step number 8, and probably one of the most important. Plan out your movements before you press record. Like I said at the beginning of the video, every movement communicates a message, and if you want cinematic movements in your projects, you need to know what emotion you want to communicate before you move the camera. If you just show up with your camera and do all these crazy moves for no reason, the audience will be confused. Handheld may communicate tension and anxiety, while a tripod shot may communicate calmness and control. If you use a jittery handheld shot at the wrong time, the audience can feel confused as to what you're trying to communicate. Before you ever start filming, determine what emotion you want, and that will determine what camera movement you need. And the reason I'm putting this step in this video is because if you really do want cinematic movements in your projects, they don't just fall into your lap. You have to plan them out and determine what movement you want for this scene. And going back to the handheld versus tripod movement, in this scene, one character is freaking out while the other character is calm and under control. They have a handheld shot for the one freaking out and a tripod shot for the one that's in control. They did not come up with this on the spot. This was planned out beforehand to communicate an emotion. In The Insider, when this conversation takes a turn in a completely different direction, the director breaks the 180-degree rule and moves the camera to the other side, giving us a sense of awkwardness and also a visual representation of the change that is taking place in this dialogue. All of this was designed and planned out. So in the end, don't move the camera for absolutely no reason. And also, move the camera for a reason. If the camera moved to the other side during this conversation, yet nothing changed in the conversation, it would be extremely distracting and make no sense. Have purpose in your camera movements and plan them out according to the emotion. So I hope that these 8 steps have really helped you guys out in creating cinematic camera movement. If you'd like to learn more about camera movement in general, from the different types of shots and what emotions they communicate, check out our full academy at tomorrowsfilmmakers.com. We have over 1,000 training videos and over 100 hours of content on every single filmmaking subject that you can imagine. And if you want to go into the production side with weddings, real estate, music videos, commercials, we teach all about that. And if you want to go more into the narrative side with directing, storyboarding, acting, we teach all about that as well. And like I said at the beginning, we have been successfully selling this course with an $800 price tag for years, but for a limited time, we are giving it to you guys for a crazy discount of only $97. So I hope that this video has really helped you guys out, and I hope that this cinematic trilogy has helped you out. Go back and watch the others if you haven't. Click subscribe, because we're going to be posting videos like this all the time. And to learn more, click the link in the description below and learn all the skills that you need to succeed.
طبعا هذا الفيديو اللي شفناه هو من أهم الفيديوهات اللي احنا عم ناخذها في هاي في هذا الدرس تبعنا. خلينا نرجع شوي على الافتر افكت علشان نتكلم كلمتين مع بعض. طبعا احنا شفنا، اعتقد خلينا احنا نعد كم فيديو شفناهم. اعتقد هم كانوا شيء 4-5 فيديوهات، يمكن شفنا منهم، يمكن يا شفناهم كلهم هلا بنرجع نشوف كلياتهم، يا بنرجع بنشوف الباقي. تمام. في عندنا كمان فيديو إضافي، هو إنك كيف أنت ممكن، هو إحنا شفنا كثير فيديوهات إنه كيف ممكن إحنا نسوي فيديو فيلم ميكينج من خلال الأدوات وما أدوات وإضاءة وتصوير وما تصوير، بس هل يا ترى نحسن نحن نصور ونسوي فيديو كامل أو إنه فيديو فيلم عن طريق التليفون؟ طبعا نحن لازم كمان لازمنا بالمقابل تليفون ظريف، يعني ما نستخدم أي تليفون، لا إحنا لازم نستخدم تليفون يكون تليفون يعني محترم شوي، يكون ايفون 14 15 هيك شيء. بس يا ترى هل نحن بنحسن نسوي بنفس الاحترافيه؟ هل نحن هلا راح نشوف
Let's take an iPhone
تبعنا. فهنشوف هلا الفيديو اللي احنا حنحط لكم اياه، اللي هو بعنوان هذا بالعنوان نفسه هذا. خلينا نفوت نشوف
15 Pro and see if we can film a wedding with it. Yes, you heard that correctly. We are here at the beautiful Breakfield event venue, and we are filming an actual wedding today, but I am only using my iPhone. No other camera, just the new iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, we've done this before with the iPhone 13 about 2 years ago, but with the new features that have come out with the iPhone 15, we have a lot of people asking us to try and film another wedding and see just how far we can push the new iPhone when it comes to cinematic filmmaking. So we are at the wedding of Matthew and Kimberly, who have so graciously allowed us to film their wedding today with an iPhone, and they're actually really excited to be a part of this video. So you guys are going to be following along with us as we're going to be showing you our camera setup, things we're doing and not doing because we're filming with an iPhone, and you guys get to be just a fly on the wall as we film a wedding. So, yes, thank you for letting us do this. We're excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. Yeah.
So we're going to go do.
Oh, I feel like an idiot. Here we go. Now, there are a lot of new features about the iPhone 15 Pro Max, but the two main ones that affect us the most is the new 5x camera and being able to shoot in Apple ProRes log. Now, that is huge. When we filmed with the iPhone 13, the only log option we had was with a third-party app, and it was basically just like a desaturated image. It was not true log. So being able to actually have ProRes log is going to make a huge difference for us at this wedding. Now the 5X camera though, it's like really cool and everything, but I mean, I'm not really gonna be using it other than maybe like the ceremony, maybe to like zoom in close to the couple. So other than that, I'm gonna be sticking with the standard 24mm lens on the iPhone. All right, we're trying to figure out where the sun is going to be whenever the ceremony happens, because this is where the ceremony is going to be.
It's gotta be right there at 4:30.
Okay, the sun is going to be setting like there, and so whenever it's there, then we will be getting some shots of the signs and the exterior and stuff like that. So it feels weird to literally come to the wedding first thing and not get any exterior shots, but the sun is just terrible for the iPhone, so we just gotta wait till it kind of goes behind some trees.
Hello.
Hi.
Is everybody dressed?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Okay, we're seeing if everyone's dressed. This is
Always
vital.
ask.
Yes. We're gonna go get shots of her putting on the last little bit of makeup.
Yes, you can tell me.
Okay, cool.
Very good. You can do it one more time. Just a slight smile. Very slight smile. There we go. Don't want to mess up the makeup. There we go. I like this mirror right here. I'm going to try to see if I can get through that. It just keeps messing up. There we go.
We don't need much because like stuff sticks.
Look at that. Look. That's in log, but you know, I like it.
That's fire.
So the setup we have today is the Ronin RS2 as our gimbal. Of course, you can really use any gimbal that you have, including the smaller iPhone gimbals like the DJI Osmo. But the point is we want to get as smooth of shots as possible and try to not look like the typical iPhone shaky look. So we have a phone holder and the iPhone attached to a gimbal, but the main difference right now is that we have to record externally to an SSD. Now the iPhone 15 will shoot at ProRes log in 4K 60 frames per second, but only if you record to an external SSD because the files are just massive. And unfortunately, the way that the gimbal is set up, we actually had to flip the iPhone upside down so that the cord would not interfere with the gimbal, so it looks really, really strange, but it's what you have to do. And also the main thing we always want to emphasize whenever you're using a smartphone that we have found to be a game changer is third-party lenses. Now the iPhone has a distinct wide angle look, and that's because the main lens on the iPhone is 24mm, but I don't want to film this wedding at 24mm, so I'm using moment lenses. They are lenses that you can put on your main 24mm lens and get different focal lengths, which make a huge difference. Again, the difference between this shot and this shot is huge because this shot automatically looks like an iPhone because it's a wide angle lens, and this shot could almost pass for a DSLR. All right. With the first look, since I don't have two cameras, I only have one, it's more important to get the father's reaction. So I'm actually gonna focus on him for the real reaction, and then I'll probably fake it one more time and I'll get her walking up and all that kind of stuff. But for the real reaction, it's best to get the father's reaction for the first look. So that's what we're gonna do. Like, is this too close? You tell me.
You're good, as long as you stay where you are.
I won't move.
Okay.
All right, so let's fake it one more time. This one just a slight faking. Angle? Yeah, I want to get her walking up and stuff like that. All right, so let's walk halfway to like right here and then stop.
What should I do when I stop?
Just stop. I'm gonna direct you after that. You ready? And walk. Good job. All right, now do me a favor, walk up to like right here. Okay, you ready? And you're smiling, and go.
Thank you.
Very good. Tap a shoulder, and then you can turn around and just smile and then give her a hug. And go.
Every day you give your treasure away. I can tell you that.
Oh, yes, that was great. That was great. I even faked it and he cried on the faking. I don't think he cried on the real one, but he cried when we faked it. So, oh, it was beautiful. It was just beautiful. That's good. Here, Quinn, come next to the window right here. Turn towards me a little bit, right there. Very good.
Same thing, just kind of play with it?
Yeah, change just your tie.
Okay, yeah.
There we go. Hold on, wait. I like this bush, or this, what is this? This
I was already doing that.
Were you? Yeah, look at this. All right, do me a favor, be looking that way and kind of adjust your tie.
Okay.
So I'm going to create some depth here, since the iPhone does not have good depth. An external power brick is going to be huge if you're going to be filming a wedding with a smartphone. The iPhone 13, I think we only had to charge it one time whenever we were eating, and right now it looks like the iPhone 15 is losing power a lot faster. So I'm going to be charging this as often as I possibly can, even if it's for just a couple minutes here and there. All right, so receptions, the lighting is always terrible. Horrible. It's usually lit by candles and little dim lights, and it looks terrible for video, especially with iPhones. So what I do is I buy these cheap Youngyo lights, but the main thing is they're cheap and they're battery powered. And what I like to do is I put them on one end of the room and one on the other, and then if you shoot with that behind it, it looks amazing, so much better. So I buy these little cheap stands, these little $80 lights, and they save receptions. And these lights do the trick. They're only 80 bucks on Amazon. Get one. Hey, that was a good transition. Also, the camera app that we're using is the brand new Blackmagic mobile camera app, and it is like mind-blowing. This camera app is phenomenal, and I will never ever use another camera app. The Blackmagic mobile camera app, it is completely free. Go get it. Not a sponsor, but go get it.
According to plan, we feel your presence here and we thank you for it. We love you so much. We ask that you would just bring down your peace that passes all understanding. We do this help for Kimbo and for Matt.
All right, so the previous wedding that we did with the iPhone 13 was all indoors, and it was even lighting, and it was beautiful. This is going to stretch the Apple ProRes log, so we will see how good it is, because this is in shade, and then the background is going to be really bright. So usually with iPhones, you kind of have to choose what to expose for. We're going to try to expose in the middle and see how far we can really push the log footage and see if it works. And currently the iPhone is charging. It got down to 30%, and we hadn't even started the ceremony. And now it's up to 70%. We're saved. So the iPhone 15 loses battery a lot faster than the other iPhones so far. There's no groomsman. Okay, we need to find the groom to mic him up immediately. Where's the groom? Is he in there? No, nobody's in there. All right. Say check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Watch that time go up.
Yes, I know. We've had these die before.
Oh, great.
And we just like don't put the vows in the video. They're like, "Where's the vows?" We're like, "Did we not put the vows in there?" I'm sorry.
You are making that up.
That's actually true. That did happen one time.
That happened to you?
Yeah, one time. But
Hilarious.
it's not going to happen. No, I was talking to you. I'm going to talk to the camera. Yeah. I'll check it later.
Is that an iPhone?
Stop it. Yes, I'm filming a wedding with an iPhone. This is the 5X.
You're my son. His response was, I'm your son, you're my mother, and there isn't anything I wouldn't do for you right now.
Okay, the ceremony is over. It's past 6 o'clock. Finally, the exterior is manageable. So we're gonna now get the exterior shots after the wedding is over, because the lighting was just so horrendous whenever we got here. And now it looks really even. The sky's still a little blown out. Might be able to bring that down a little bit with the Apple ProRes log, but now we're gonna get the exterior shots. All right, so I brought my one wheel. Since I can't use a drone, I thought about maybe getting some like faster moving shots. You know what? That actually looks good. So almost like a low flying drone. Since I can't use a drone because I've got a phone, I can kind of fake it. So all it is just a little faster. Oh! There's a curb there. I almost just ate it. Unfortunately, we have people that came into the front. So now they're in the shot. Do you mind going back inside for like 2 minutes? Just this last shot. 2 minutes. Sometimes you have to be assertive, okay? You have to be real assertive and they'll listen to you. And who's gonna say no to a man with an iPhone on a one wheel? I mean, okay, well, that was fun. Matt came out and ruined it. But now we gotta take pictures. So, I guess it's going back. Now we gotta go back to work. And walk. That looks good. That looks good. Yeah, very good, very good.
1, 2, 3, go!
That was really good, actually. All right, we're still gonna get some shots of bridal party with groomsmen and bridesmaids, but there's this little shimmer of light over there. And so we're gonna put the bride and groom in that light because it's perfect and beautiful. And we're just gonna get a couple shots with them before the light goes away. And then we'll come back and finish the bride and groom, all the wedding party stuff. But that little shaft of light is what we're aiming for. Oh, look at that. That's true. Look at that light. That is beautiful.
Next moment we've all been waiting for. If everybody could please rise for Mr. and Mrs. Matthew and Kimberly Tillery.
So I'm going to put the lights in the corner until food is done, and I'm going to set it up on the dance floor, and then it'll be great. So that's why I love these lights. They're cheap, they're small, and you can put them everywhere, and they fix everything. Entrances, dances, everything. They fix all of it. All right, everyone's eating. We're out here in the dark in the boiler room. We're charging the phone. So got a little charging station until it's time to eat. It's like the Blair Witch Project.
You better use that.
Let's make some noise for our bride and groom.
So it's the end of the wedding day, and we had to charge the iPhone 15 quite a few times, unfortunately. But I mean, it is shooting an Apple ProRes log 4K 60 frames per second into an SSD, so it's using a lot more power. Now, I will say that this venue and just the day that was today is really going to push the limits of the log footage, because the last wedding that we filmed was an overcast day. It was even lighting and everything, and it looked beautiful. But today, there was literally not a cloud in the sky, and there was lots of trees and bright areas. So I wish that the day would have been a little bit better for the iPhone, but we're just gonna see how far we can actually push the log footage to make it work. But I think that that actually is more relatable, because you can't really choose what kind of day you're filming or what the sky does. You kind of have to just make it work, and that's exactly what we did today. So if you want to learn more about filmmaking and how to film a wedding, check out our full course at tomorrowsfilmmakers.com. We have a 70+ episode wedding cinema course and a 100+ episode mobile filmmaking cinema course, along with over 1,200 training videos. Imagine right now for only $97. You can actually film a high-quality cinematic wedding video with a smartphone.
Kimberly, all the days of my life I vow to see you. No circumstance or situation will ever change my immense love for you. Kimberly, I can't wait to marry you, and I'll stand by you forever.
Knee-jerk reaction is fight or flight. First sign of color, I run and hide. But you came like rain on a summer night, and I think you're rewiring my mind. I've been taking cover under my skin, but I wanna step outside and take it all in. 'Cause baby, it's like a light storm to be yours. Thunder crashing till the sky's torn. You're like a light storm, a light storm. Oh, oh, a light storm.
I always wanted my gravestone to say something like, "Led millions to the Lord and raised the dead and spread the gospel far and wide." But truthfully, if my gravestone said, "I loved you well," I will have lived a perfect life. And I vow to be everything to you that I can't be.
I'm used to taking cover under my skin, but I wanna step outside and take it all in. 'Cause baby, it's like a light storm to be yours. Finding freedom in the downpour. You're like a light storm, a light storm. Oh, oh, a light storm. Baby, it's like a light storm to be yours. Feelings flooding through the front door. You're like a light storm, a light storm.
Hey creators, want the best music and sound effects for your projects? Free for all your
طبعا هلا احنا شفنا كيف الفيديو وشفنا النتيجة تبع الفيديو كيف كانت. صراحة
We're out here in
نتيجة كتير 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 حلوة، ممكن احنا حتى نساويها في أي تليفون عنا إياه. هناخذ بريك ونرجع نتكلم عن هذا الفيديو احنا أخذناه بشكل تفصيلي أكثر.